Fox Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Welcome back to Charlotte. This is the kind of glorious day we have. 82 degrees as we get underway. Not much of a wind. And right now, let's bring in the third member of our team, Laura Okmin. Laura?
Thank you, Dick. After a preseason full of injuries, the Panthers were so excited to finally see their full defense on the field today. It didn't last long. Starting safety Chris Harris injured his knee during practice this week. He retweaked it this morning during warm-ups. He came off of the field right after, knew how bad it felt, went right up to John Fox and said, no go. The Panthers say he will not be starting, but they are hoping he will see some playing time today. Dick?
All right, Laura, thank you very much. And yes, this team has been hit by injuries, and one key one, which we'll get to in a moment. So Chris Harris not starting this game, and the Panthers have won the toss. David Akers will be kicking off for the Eagles, and Mike Goodson, very impressive rookie, fourth-round draft pick from Texas A&M. And there is Akers. We talk about Jake Delhomme would like to remember his last game, the playoff game. So would David Akers, for that matter, who had problems in the NFC Championship game. But it's a new year. And this game is underway. Kicked into the end zone. And Goodson's going to run it out. You got an idea of the kind of speed Mike Goodson has. And a terrific return. There's Andy Reid, who watches a good kick return by the Panthers, 33 yards. As Jake Delhomme, who obviously looking to get the bad taste out of his mouth after those 6 turnovers. He had 5 interceptions against Arizona and the fumble as well. But as Charles pointed out, he's got the wins too, most in history. First down on the 30-yard line, and the quick pass to Steve Smith. They get him involved immediately, and Smith picks up close to first down yardage. We'll see where they spot the ball. So we saw Jake Delhomme and the rest of the offensive group for the Panthers, and they have a solid offensive line.
Bring back the same line intact from last year. The first time in nearly 10 years, Jordan Gross made a seamless transition from right tackle to left tackle and went to the Pro Bowl last year.
It'll be second down and 2, and D'Angelo Williams getting the first down. And this crowd into it as Williams carries up to the 47-yard line, a gain of 9 yards. Sheldon Brown, the cornerback, making the stop. Philadelphia Eagles defense, and this is a group that lost 3 leaders during the offseason.
Talking about the defensive coordinator, Jim Johnson, middle linebacker Stuart Bradley, and free safety Brian Dawkins. Questions about whether they can be replaced start getting answered today.
First down at the 47 of Carolina, and here is Williams again. Doesn't get much there, maybe a yard. And it was Trent Cole. So Jim Johnson, who passed away, a brilliant defensive coordinator, and Sean McDermott is his successor, and he's a young guy, and he says he's going to do it his way, but he learned at the elbow of Jim Johnson, and that doesn't hurt.
What did he call it? The Harvard School of Defensive Football for the last 10 years.
And the JJ on the Eagle helmet in memory. Second down and 9. Play action. Delhomme going deep downfield to Muhsin Muhammad, and well covered Quentin Michael. And Michael really is the aggressive successor, you might say, to Brian Dawkins. Good coverage on the play to the veteran Muhammad.
Interesting that Carolina tries to get deep early because Philadelphia is starting a rookie at free safety in Macho Harris. But they went at the veteran Quentin Michael, who was up to the task.
Good coverage that time. And there is Victor Macho Harris, another rookie from Virginia Tech. We saw Goodson already for the Panthers. Third down and 9. Panthers not quite up to quality on third downs last year. Let's see what they do on their first attempt this year. And this pass overthrown, intended for Steve Smith. So the Eagles finally clamp down and hold, and we have a penalty flag down. And it may be against Philadelphia.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 75 beneath it. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So Jaquay Parker, who did not start this game, guilty of the face mask. First down.
Right at the end, grabbing for Jake Delhomme. Number 75, Jaquay Parker, gets his hand wrapped around Delhomme's face mask. And the first big penalty of the game goes against the Eagles and keeps the drive alive for Carolina.
So instead of an incomplete pass and fourth down in a punting situation, the Panthers have a first down on the Eagles' 37. And the flip is to Williams. He gets into an open space, slowed up, and finally brought down close to first down yardage. Macho Harris initially missed D'Angelo Williams. First down.
Liked what Jake Delhomme was doing, making sure his team knew who to block. And that's your old-fashioned option right there without Jake Delhomme coming down the line of scrimmage. Just fake it inside. See, there's Jake Delhomme pointing at the Mike linebacker. Why is that important? Strictly for blocking assignments, Dick.
10-yard gain, first down on the 20. Stewart making his first appearance, and we'll have a whistle and a false start penalty against the Panthers.
False start. Number 47 of the offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And it's Jeff King wonders why, as John Fox asking the same question. Jeff Triplett, our referee in this opening game.
Notice that the Eagles blitzed on the play, even though there was a penalty. As you get around the 30-yard line, that's kind of your line of demarcation about trying to keep them out of field goal range or not.
And Steve Smith is now in a wildcat position on first down, and he's going to run it to the left. The Eagles are there, and they took care of it quickly. Trent Cole making the play. So our first wildcat of the year, and it's Steve Smith. To no avail, picking up all 4 yards on the play.
And all preseason, people have been talking about the Eagles in the Wildcat when Michael Vick gets back. But so many teams already have it in their arsenal. No one fooled. Everyone sees what's there. I circled the quarterback out wide. Jake Delhomme, not even a threat to get the ball on that play. Steve Smith, run all the way.
Hey, Charles, they want the quarterback to go as far away, maybe into the 10th row.
Hey, listen, don't hit me out here. I'm good.
Second down and 11. And here comes Harris blitzing. Delhomme taking off and dives inside the 20. Short of the first down by a couple of yards, and Broderick Bunkley caught him. But the Panthers are moving the ball here.
Love the veteran move there by Jake Delhomme. As the pocket breaks down, he sees the alley and takes off and gets everything he can out of that play. One of the few times the quarterback won't move around in the pocket seeking to get the ball downfield. Just went ahead and made it a 3rd and short instead of what could have been a 3rd and long.
3rd down and a long one. And a timeout called by Carolina. No score first quarter. The Eagles haven't had the ball yet.
Who is that? Is that Usain Bolt that you're going to see streaking down the sideline? No, it's John Fox, the head coach of the Panthers, calling a timeout. How about that off-season training program, Dick?
Boy, he lost a lot of weight. 3rd down and a long one, and the pass caught by D'Angelo Williams goes down the sidelines and picks up another first down. Down to the 10, and Asante Samuel this time missed the initial play, and he's pointing to himself like, my bad.
How about D'Angelo Williams? They said they want him to improve his receiving skills. And right there, Asante Samuel had a chance to finish off the play, but Williams, his running back background, came into play also. After the catch, broke through the tackle and picked up the first down.
Stewart is now the back, number 28. He's had an Achilles problem. It is first down and 10 just outside the 10-yard line. And here is Jonathan Stewart. And Stewart still on his feet, finally knocked out of bounds at about the 2-yard line. And for our first game break, let's bring in Kurt Menefee.
And for the first Sunday touchdown of the season, the Saints against the Lions. Drew Brees hooking up with Marcus Colston for a 9-yard score. It is 7-0. New Orleans on top. As we send it back to you, Dick. A hearty welcome to our NFL coverage to Charles Davis.
Yes, we have welcomed him. Glad he's on our side. Did a great job with the BCS championship games and other playoff games during the years. Now it is a 2nd down and 2. And 2 tight ends in the game. Here is Jonathan Stewart. And Stewart doesn't quite get enough for the first down, short by about a yard. And that'll bring up 3rd and short. Eagles trying to keep the Panthers out.
A new season, but it's still Panther football. Look at the line push. See number 47 coming across, Jeff King, the tight end, also getting a key block as they control Trent Cole, number 58, at the corner. Jonathan Stewart powers inside before he's met.
There you see Broderick Buckley right there. It'll be 3rd down and 1 with under 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. The handoff to Stewart and may not have made it. And it was Jaquay Parker. Remember, he was guilty of the face mask earlier. And let's see whether Parker redeemed himself on this play.
Take a look at number 75, Jaquay Parker, working against Mackenzie Bernardo. Excellent job with the initial penetration, which stacked up the play immediately and allowed the rest of the Eagles to flow to the ball.
And Charles, he slowed him up, and that was the key there.
That was the key. Once he stacked it up, now there's no momentum for the running back. That allows the rest of the defense to get there. First big decision of the half for the Carolina Panthers.
So a timeout for a measurement. There is Jake Delhomme, who is leading the team down. Delhomme actually has gained 15 yards through the air and 10 on the ground himself. And they're shy by less than a yard. So what does John Fox do here?
As constituted, his team as they're constituted, I think he wants to go for it right here. I think he wants to go ahead and get those 2 tights in with a big offensive line and go ahead and try and get this early momentum.
You're thinking right. And there you see, 2nd in the NFL last year to the Colts. 65% of their red zone offense was successful. Why fix it if it isn't broken?
No reason to. That's why you won 12 games in the NFC South, and they want to get off to a start similar to that. Dick, you're going to see all sorts of tight ends, a fullback in the game now, the whole deal.
Here it is, 4th and 1. Jonathan Stewart. And Jonathan Stewart is stopped. Does not have the touchdown. The question is, does he have the half a yard for the first down? And from the naked eye, looked like he had enough, and he does. It'll be 1st and goal. That's all he needed.
And Dick, he knew he had the luxury of getting a first down and not just having to get a touchdown, which led them to go for it on 4th down. The push should be on the right side of the line. Ota, 79, 68, Kedrick Vincent. Dante Rosario on the wing at tight end. Mackenzie Bernardo, number 73, also in the ball game, helping him get the first down.
So it'll be 1st and goal. D'Angelo Williams comes in with Hoover in front and a false start. You saw them leaning forward. And, you know, that's a really bad penalty for Carolina
False
here.
start. Number 67 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That's Ryan Khalil, the center. So one thing to have 1st and goal about the 1. Now it's a different story.
And the guy who's supposed to know the snap count the best besides the quarterback is the guy who got out early, Ryan Khalil, wanting to get out and try and get into Broderick Bunkley, number 97, or Mike Patterson, number 98, the big defensive tackles.
Now Dwayne Jarrett is lined up to the right. And Dante Rosario also in. 3 wide receivers. 1st and goal at the 5. And that'll be a timeout. The 2nd timeout called by the Panthers here in the first half. And we'll take a break right now. We're halfway through this first quarter. The Eagles haven't had the ball yet.
Arch enemies? apparently not when the ball's not in play. There's Sheldon Brown and Steve Smith swapping a word. You know they'll be right back at each other as soon as they put the ball in play.
First and goal at the 5. And another whistle and another false start. So
False start. Number 79 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
So first Khalil, the center. Now Jeff Otah, the right tackle. And John Fox has to be beside himself with these penalties.
There's Otah, 79. See the move? I mean, still, even though they're pros and they get 4 to 5 preseason games, still something about opening day. Might have a few jitters to work out.
And this will be the 13th play of the drive. Panthers started on the 30, and here is D'Angelo Williams, and it's a foot race, and Williams will go in for the touchdown. How about that quickness to change direction like that?
An amazing jump cut on the run by D'Angelo Williams. And no backside contain. Everyone over pursues to the opposite side. And right there, number 27, Quentin Michael, unable to bring him down, and he beats Chris Gokong to the corner. Wow.
So a touchdown for a man that is used to that. 20 touchdowns last year, 18 on the ground, and now John Casey's been here forever. 19th year. I think he was here before the franchise came into the league, and the extra point is good. And so following D'Angelo Williams' 11-yard touchdown run, the Panthers, who have controlled the ball since the start of the game, take a 7-0 lead over the Eagles. So there is the first Panther to score this year. Williams on an 11-yard run, the 15-yard penalty for a face mask kept it going. 13 plays in 70 yards. And there's Ellis Hobbs, the former Patriot back there, and Reese Lloyd, outstanding kickoff man. He's there just for that. 2 yards in the end zone. It's run out by Hobbs. And brings it out just beyond the 25-yard line. So, yes, Donovan McNabb is going to play in this game. Comes out, but not before we take a break.
So what opened up things for D'Angelo Williams? Gary Barnidge with the block here, which means Quentin Michael, the safety, now has backside contain, except he over pursues too far inside. And on the jump cut by Williams, backside, he's wide open.
So the Philadelphia Eagles have the ball. 8:06 was the time of the drive, and a first down. And here's Donovan McNabb being chased. And now will step out of bounds after picking up 4 yards. And the Philadelphia Eagles offense, he talked about Westbrook. And I'll tell you one thing, Donovan McNabb has no complaints about the kind of targets he has to throw to now.
No, not at all. Now you add in the rookie Jeremy Maclin, another Jet who can go along with Deshaun Jackson, and Kevin Curtis is healthy.
So here is McNabb, franchise record in everything there. 2nd down and 6 at the 30. Here is Westbrook with a carry, and not much. And Julius Peppers making the stop. Peppers maybe against his will playing for the Panthers this year, but they need him there. And so the Carolina Panthers trying to improve their defense, but they had a real tough season-ending injury at the beginning of camp.
Right at the start, Maki Kumatu, their inside defensive tackle, really puts a stress on their run defense, trying to find a replacement for him.
3rd down and 4. The Eagles getting to the line fast. And we have movement at the left tackle. Jason Peters may have moved.
False start. Number 71 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
And that's the big offensive line acquisition from Buffalo in the trade.
Number 71. This is the guy that Andy Reid really wanted. Says he's the best left tackle in all of football, and they acquired him from the Buffalo Bills. Working out a few opening day butterflies.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. And missed assignments, penalties. 4 wide receivers on 3rd down and 9 for the Eagles. And McNabb has enough time. And on the run, completes the pass And it's Jason Avant and a first down. Give him enough time and Donovan McNabb will burn you up to the 45-yard line, a pickup of 18.
How about Donovan McNabb making another play with his feet, but also with his vision, keeping his eyes downfield. Watch how he has to step up into the pocket when he feels the pass rush. And there's a lane that he could actually take off and go, but the receivers know that Donovan wants to keep a play alive to throw it, so they continue running their routes. And Jason Avant gets wide open and makes the catch.
And we're going to get our first look at LaShawn McCoy, the second-round pick from Pitt, but not before the quick pass to Deshaun Jackson and an incomplete pass. So it looked like Jackson wanted to take it down the sideline before he had possession. Incomplete, bringing up 2nd and 10. There you see Avant, who went out for one play, has come back in along with Leonard Weaver, the fullback, and the Eagles again have a fullback they can rely on, the former Seattle Seahawk.
They really like him a lot, Dick, a Pro Bowl alternate while in Seattle.
And Deshaun Jackson lining up in the Wildcat. And there is Jackson. Deshaun Jackson will be shy of the first down, so each team has run the Wildcat, and Nick Cole, the left guard, who's starting in place of the injured Todd Herriman's, leading the way.
So Philadelphia says, I see your Wildcat Carolina, but they don't exactly raise them one. Why? Essentially the same play. Just pretty much a sweep. This would be a toss sweep if it were tossed to the tailback. And Deshaun Jackson trying to follow Nick Cole, number 59, into the hole and gets right up on top of him before the Panthers get to him.
7-yard gain, 350-pounder leading the way for the slender Deshaun Jackson. 3rd and 3. They spread the defense and the quick pass trying to spread the needle. Brent Selleck, the tight end, and incomplete, and that'll bring up 4th down. And guess what? The Eagle defense is going to have to get on the field again.
And they could have used a really long drive after the opening drive by Carolina, kept the Eagle defense on the field a long time in this heat. Instead, ball goes right back to the Panthers.
So Sav Rocca will be kicking, and back deep will be the rookie Captain Munnerlyn, who was the last draft pick by the Panthers out of South Carolina. Trying to keep it inside the 20, and the fair catch by Munnerlyn gets it, and the flag will go down, and the Panthers will get out of danger. Quentin Demps, who lost his free safety job to Macho Harris, commits another tough foul by the Eagles.
Let's see if Quentin Demps is going to say he was blocked into him. There's a shove in the back from number 30 run Richard Marshall that put him right into the punt returner, Captain Munnerlyn. See right there, look at his left hand, a slight shove, and that sent Demps into him.
And that's why they're talking it over. Jeff Triplett.
Personal foul. Number 39, the kicking team. Interference with the opportunity to make a fair catch. 15 yards from the spot of the foul. 1st down.
And you know, Charles, I think he tried to take advantage of that push, a couple of extra steps. So the Panthers get out of real danger. We'll be back.
If I'm Quentin Demps, I might want to say, hold it a second. He did shove me in the back. The thing is, I'm not sure he sold it well enough. There's a little push from Richard Marshall, but he never really altered his path, didn't flail his arms a little bit. Sell it.
You got to do it. Someone has to believe what you're selling. 1 first down on the 25. Jonathan Stewart spinning his way from the initial hit. And he'll be downed at the 29 by Trent Cole. And you're right about the ability of Carolina to run the ball, especially with that line. They ran 10 out of 13 plays in that first drive, overcame 3 false starts. And when you have that 1-2 punch of Williams, who scored the touchdown, and Stewart doing pretty well.
2 of the false starts came after they had 1st and goal inside the 1.
2nd down and 6. Barnage, the tight end, in motion. Delone has time, and the pass thrown behind, and it's intercepted by Sheldon Brown. And finally brought down by Jonathan Stewart, the running back. So the first turnover of the game, and Jake Delhomme throwing the pick to Sheldon Brown.
You hear people talk about accuracy all the time. Watch Steve Smith, number 89, in the slot. What does accuracy mean? It means putting the ball where the receiver has a chance to catch it and continue to move. This one's behind Steve Smith. He tries to make the play, and what a great catch by Sheldon Brown on the tip.
I don't know if I wouldn't challenge that with the tip of the ball on the ground, but here are the Eagles
going fast, so there is no challenge.
First down at the 32 of the Panthers. Eagles trail 7-0. Hand off to Westbrook. Well, Westbrook has carried twice and has not gotten much in either occasion. Picks up 1.
And Sheldon Brown might ask to play a little receiver after that last catch. Now the key is, as you mentioned, Dick, should it have been challenged? There's the catch by Sheldon Brown.
No,
never hit the ground.
Never touched the ground.
Great job. Caught it and then got his hand under.
Like I said, I never would have thought about challenging. Never. Can't do that. Second down and 9, and we'll have a whistle, and the Eagles called for the false start.
False start. Number 71 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Second penalty on Jason Peters today.
Right, look at the matchup. Peters, number 71 for Philadelphia. Julius Peppers, number 90 for Carolina. All-Pro versus All-Pro. The offensive lineman got a bit anxious on that snap.
Peters is wondering, well, NFC, they play the same way as the AFC. Second down and 14. And here is McNabb on the play fake to Westbrook, and his pass dropped. Kevin Curtis dropped the pass. And right now, you'd have to say the Eagles on both sides of the ball are out of sync. And Andy Reid wondering when it's going to kick in.
You remember the last pass Jake Delhomme threw? Inaccurate because he didn't lead Steve Smith. Had the accuracy of Donovan McNabb on this play is not just that he threw it to where the receiver was, but he didn't lead him into the coverage. Stopped him right there so he wouldn't get hit by the defensive back, and Donovan reacting there, trying to rally his team.
So it's third down and 14 of Peppers trying to get to McNabb. He completes to Selleck, the tight end, but he'll be hit and knocked down about 9 yards shy of a first down, and it was the rookie Captain Munnerlyn who made the initial contact on Selleck. And David Akers will come on to try to give the Eagles their first points of the season.
Dick, if anyone was wondering about motivation of Julius Peppers coming into this season, I think that question's being answered. He's playing very well in the early going.
Well, Charles, they named him one of the captains, so he's still Julius Peppers. So here we go. It'll be a 48-yard attempt. John Dornbos is the holder, and Akers' first attempt of the year is good. And so the Eagles score with under a minute remaining in the first quarter. It is now 7-3 in favor of the Panthers. So Donovan McNabb leading on his offense. This is just the first of the doubleheader. Next game of our Fox doubleheader, the Redskins at the Giants. 2 NFC East teams. You know, no one talks about Washington. It was Dallas, Philly, Giants.
They are the forgotten team. But they have an opportunity to get right in the mix. Brian Orakpo, their rookie, played very well in the preseason. I think Jason Campbell feels like he has a few things to prove to the rest of the league.
Well, you got Romo, McNabb, and Manning as the other quarterbacks in that division. And, of course, Delhomme has to do his work in the NFC South, which has been topsy-turvy over the years. There you see the offensive unit huddling, and the defense is in there as well. So you don't often see both units together in a group, but there they are, the Eagles, who trail 7-3. And Akers will be kicking off, and Mike Goodson, the rookie, back deep. Goodson on a bounce will run it out from 2 yards in the end zone. And riding him out was Joselio Hansen, getting to the 24-yard line. Well, you talked about some of the leaders no longer here. None bigger than Jim Johnson, who was a brilliant defensive coach, great football man over the years, and a great lieutenant for Andy Reid. Passed away, died of cancer just before camp started, and an engineer of one of the great defenses, and now Sean McDermott has to fill his shoes. But as Andy Reid said, you just fill your own shoes here. First down on the 25 for Carolina. DeLome with the quick pass, and unable to handle it is Muhammad. 2nd and 10.
Dick, Sean McDermott is definitely going to fill his own shoes as the defensive coordinator, but there's nothing wrong with learning from the mentor. Watch this. Pressure coming from where? Right up there. Does that look familiar?
Yes, it does.
There's nothing wrong with using things that have worked before.
Hey, they send anyone from anywhere at any time. 41 seconds left in the quarter. 2nd down and 10. And here's D'Angelo Williams. And nothing doing there. And the Eagles stop him for no gain. Mike Patterson right there. And that'll bring up 3rd down. And right now for a game break, let's check in again with Kurt Menefee.
Something doing in Cleveland. Brett Favre leads his first touchdown drive as a Viking. This hookup with Adrian Peterson set up a 1-yard Peterson touchdown run. Favre's first lead as a Viking quarterback. He's 5 for 6. They lead at 10-3 in Cleveland. Dick and Charles.
All right, thank you very much, Kurt. And there is Max Gene Gillis, who's one of the guards that was in the rotation today. And we told you that Heremans is out. And so Max Gene Gillis, a valuable man, going into the locker room. So that is the end of the first quarter here in Charlotte, with the Panthers leading Donovan McNabb and the Eagles 7-3. Well, the disparity in the time of possession and plays and ball control, not dramatic, but consider that Carolina had it for 8 minutes to start the game. And in this kind of heat, 80 degrees, you know, it's going to wear you down eventually. So it's 3rd and 10 as we start the second. Nick Stockton, Charles Davis, Laura Okmin with us. And the ball knocked away. It is a free ball, and the Eagles could get a touchdown, and they do. And going in is Omar Gaither and Victor Abiamiri. Victor Abiamiri. Gaither would have liked it. He's from Charlotte. So the fumble, and all of a sudden, shaking his head is Jake.
Check this out, partner. Look who this is standing up and blitzing. That's Trent Cole. Normally with his hand on the ground, defensive end, he ends up coming from the middle and came wide open and knocks the ball free from DeLome, leading to the touchdown by Abiamiri.
Came in untouched, so the Eagles get a defensive score. And I'll tell you that Sideline was kind of confused, upset earlier. Not anymore. David Akers with the extra point, and the Eagles have taken a 10-7 lead. Abiamiri with the touchdown, and there was a piece of cake. Well, there is Abiamiri and Trent Cole. Cole, of course, came in untouched, forced the fumble, and Abiamiri, who feeling bad because of Notre Dame's loss yesterday, but happy right now. And what's going on over there on the Panthers bench?
Well, offensive line coach Dave Magazoo getting with his O-line, trying to figure out how to get the protections down. But how about Sean McDermott dialing up a new blitz with Trent Cole coming from the middle instead of his normal defensive end position?
David Akers on the kickoff into the end zone and down by Goodson for the touchback. So we played 8 seconds into this second quarter, and Jake DeLome, and that's what's happened. He's dropped back 8 times. In fact, he's had 8 turnovers in the last 5 quarters plus. Going back to the game he'd like to forget. The fans didn't get on him that much during the offseason, he said. But he said, I let my team down more than anything else. So, you know, I don't think quarterbacks ever forget games like this. And so he wants to make amends today.
Trying to channel it towards something positive. There's Jeff Davidson, the offensive coordinator.
First down on the 20. Here's Jonathan Stewart. And gets about 3. Talking about that playoff game, Arizona at Carolina. Really a nightmare for Jake. He threw 5 interceptions, which was a career high. And also fumbled and lost. And this was a team that was 8-0 in the regular season and lose at home. In fact, both of these teams ended up losing in the playoffs to the Arizona Cardinals, who ended up going to the Super Bowl.
Tied for best record in the NFC.
2nd down and 7. Here's Stewart again going outside and brought down from behind by Patterson. And right now, let's check in again with Curtin.
Well, what could be one of the great stories this NFL season, Cadillac Williams, back after blowing out each of his patella tendons, takes this one 35 yards. He also got a 1-yard touchdown run to put Tampa Bay on top of the Cowboys 7-6 in the 2nd quarter. Dick and Charles.
Boy, what a great story that is, huh?
Fantastic story. Back-to-back years, knees blown out, coming back. Just absolutely tremendous to be the #1 guy on that team.
3rd down and 1, 4 wideouts, and D'Angelo Williams is the running back. Delhomme had time, and the pass is caught by Muhsin Muhammad. First catch of the game. This old guy can still get it done. And a gain of 4 yards and a 1st down with Hansen on the play.
Add this to the under pressure graphic that we saw earlier. Jake Delhomme still has people in his face, has to move around, and Muhsin Muhammad becomes the safety valve for him. It's a big rush, Jordan Gross, number 69, but the ball's held so long, you can only hold a guy so long before Darren Howard gets in his face.
First down at the 33. Williams. And gets ground and will pay for it. And the loss of 4 yards. Quentin Michael just hung in there all the way and ultimately made the stop.
Watch Quentin Michael back here, number 27. Excuse me. Yes, watch him right there. Remember the touchdown run earlier where he got out of position? Look how he stays at home this time. D'Angelo Hall sees him on the jump cut, forced back the other way. And now Michael able to make the tackle.
And D'Angelo Williams now is lined up in the backfield as the Wildcat. 2nd time for Carolina and carrying the ball. And the Eagles have snuffed out both Wildcat attempts by the Panthers so far. Chris Gokong, this strong side linebacker, making the play there. Let's go back to the old single wing and forget about everything.
Just call it what it is in a lot of ways. But you know what we're going to see as this season progresses in the NFL? The evolution of this Wildcat, where I think you're going to have to start having people who are a real threat to throw the ball in order for things to increase in effectiveness for the Wildcat. Watch Chris Gokong. He knows this run all the way, not even thinking about a pass.
So a loss of 1. 3rd down and 15. On the 28. Now Jonathan Stewart checks in. He's the running back. And there's Delhomme, and his pass is incomplete. And once again, Victor Abiamiri in his 3rd year putting pressure on. And Delhomme has to get rid of it to no avail. And there is Steve Smith. And, you know, it doesn't take much for him to get a little frustrated.
Well, we know he's Mr. Intensity. And he caught the first pass of the game. And they haven't been able to get it back to him since then. Philadelphia's done a great job of taking his routes out of play for Jake Delhomme, making him go to alternate receivers.
So Deshaun Jackson is back to receive Jason Baker's punt. And it's a beauty. Jackson on the 15, straight ahead. Deshaun Jackson, I do not see a flag on the field. And he'll go in for the touchdown. 85 yards.
This was one of his specialties coming out of Cal, and the lane opened so big early And then once he got into one-on-one situation with a tackler, it's over. Right here, Sheldon Brown does a great job not clipping. All right, a good job by not throwing that block. And then Avant, number 81, also with a nice block up front. And then Deshaun Jackson one-on-one. He's going to win that one.
David Akers, perfect on the conversion. And the Eagles, after trailing 7-0, Captain Munnerlin was the guy who was initially faked out. And the Eagles now lead by 10. Still early in the second.
Coaches will tell you all the time there are 5 don'ts in the kicking game. One of those is don't clip. Right here, Sheldon Brown does not clip. Great move by Deshaun Jackson. Here you go, Jason Avant, Chris Clemens. Look at them getting their blocks in and not clipping. And now it's turning into a one-on-one. There's Jaquay Parker, and the one-on-one was with the punter. And who you think is going to win that battle every time?
Second career punt return for a touchdown by Deshaun Jackson. How about this? Eagles have scored 14 points since their offense last was on the field. They got the defensive touchdown by Abi Amiri and then the punt return. And here is Mike Goodson bringing it back for Carolina, and he gets it back to the 30-yard line. I'd smile too. Here's Donovan McNabb. Not only did he play the first 8 minutes, they've scored 14 points while he's on the bench. Is he taking the day off? First down for the Panthers on the 30. And he's staying fresh as well. D'Angelo Williams with a good cut. And it was Chris Gokong who jumped all over him to hold Williams to 3-yard pickup.
I think since the first drive, the interior of the defense has done a nice job helping to contain the running game of Carolina. Specifically, Mike Patterson, number 98, Broderick Bunkley, number 97, and the rest of the Eagles are doing a nice job holding their lanes and not allowing the cutback to hurt them.
And they're getting some rest now, the starters, as Delhomme going deep. Muhsin Muhammad and Quentin Michael was downfield along with Ellis Hobbs. Hobbs, by the way, the former Patriot who was acquired by trade, replacing Asante Samuel right now in the secondary. And that ball hung up there for a while.
And he will spell Asante Samuel and Sheldon Brown. They'll use a 3-man rotation. But twice today, the Panthers have tried to get deep, and both times Quentin Michaels come from the inside position to help break up the play.
And, you know, we talk about with the Heat, and there you see going out of the game is Abi Amiri, and Chris Clemens came on, but Jaquay Parker, Trevor Laws, Antonio Dixon, the rookie from Miami. So everyone getting a shot in the first half. The long pass is intercepted by Sheldon Brown. And the second interception of the game by Sheldon Brown brings it down to the 10-yard line. And the woes continue for Jake Delhomme, a 35-yard return. And it was Delhomme who eventually brought Brown down.
And you want to get the ball to your number 1 guy, which is Steve Smith. But the Eagles have done an excellent job of making sure that it's difficult to get him the ball. And Jake Delhomme just decides, I have to get it to him. Unfortunately, Sheldon Brown's there. And as you said, Dick, his woes continue. The worst possible start really for Jake Delhomme, considering what happened in the last time the Panther fans saw him, and that was the playoff game.
Yeah, he jumped the route there. So he had 1 interception last year. Sheldon Brown in the first half of this year already has surpassed that. Fake, and the pass to Brent Selleck, who gets into the end zone for the touchdown. And the Eagles just rolling on after their initial problems. And they're going to call Deshaun Jackson for illegal celebration in the end zone, I believe. Sheldon Brown. Well, he jumped that one and set up the touchdown, a 9-yard pass. And there is Andy.
After the score, unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 10 of Philadelphia going to ground in the celebration. That 15-yard penalty will be assessed on the kickoff.
Well, if you're Andy Reid, you know, you say you can't do that, but wait a second. You scored on a punt return for a touchdown. 85 yards, so you're still okay in my book.
You should have done it when you scored the punt return, not when someone else scores.
All right, so it's 23-7 now, and David Akers and Jake Delhomme, in his last 2 games here in Charlotte, really had his problems. The kick is good, and so 24 unanswered points by the Philadelphia Eagles, and a good fake to Westbrook. Sell it from McNabb. Sheldon Brown with the interception, and Donovan McNabb, who threw the touchdown pass, and the touchdown by Deshaun Jackson, 85 yards for the score. And Jake Delhomme, you wonder what is going through his mind now after the problems he has had with the 2 interceptions. Now the Panthers could be looking at good field position, and should, with the kickoff from the 15-yard line after the penalty.
And that's what upset Andy Reid. We've got momentum going our way. Why give them a break with the penalty?
Here's Mike Goodson looking for running room, but tripped up at about the 35-yard line by Leonard Weaver.
You know, Dick, the West Coast offense really relies on having a tight end who can catch the football. Brent Selleck came of age last year in the NFC Championship game. They lost the game, but he caught 10 passes, so guess what? He's now a full complimentary member of the offense for Donovan McNabb. And now Jake Delhomme has to come out and get this crowd back on his side and get some offense manufactured for his Carolina Panthers.
Well, he said people were not tough on him during the offseason after that playoff game, but he's thrown 2 interceptions right now and starts it off with a Jonathan Stewart handoff and maybe a yard. I tell you, the Eagles, Charles, have really snuffed out the run since the early going.
They've done a terrific job, and I really believe it starts inside. And as you pointed out, they're rotating guys on the defensive front, trying to keep them fresh because of the heat, and all of the defensive linemen are doing an excellent job. But in particular, look at number 98, Mike Patterson, and to his right, number 97, Broderick Bunkley. They're the ones who have to control the running game.
Starters, as you see, back in there. 2nd down and 8. Again, it's Stewart. And right there, Jaquay Parker was the first defender to hit Stewart. Gets it out to the 40-yard line, bringing up 3rd and 5. Let's hear the hit by Parker.
And he got an assist from Asante Samuel, number 22. If you take a look at the Eagle corners, Hobbs, number 31, Samuel, 22, and Brown, 24, they will all tackle.
Asante Samuel alternating with Sheldon Brown and Ellis Hobbs. D'Angelo Williams comes back into the game on 3rd and 5. And no chance for Delhomme, and it was Okmin Jordan who was right on top of him before he took a step. And Sean McDermott, what an exhibition as the new defensive coordinator here in this first half against the Panthers.
It's just a continuation of what they've done for the last 10 years under Jim Johnson, with an expansion of what Sean McDermott is bringing to the table too. Okmin Jordan came wide open because all the Panthers were trying to block other Eagles bringing pressure.
So a 6-yard loss, and now Deshaun Jackson is back there again. Turned the last punt 85 yards, backpedaling to the 5. Not much room there. And out of bounds. But you get an idea of the new look Eagles, you might say, as far as you'll see Macklin, the rookie receiver, Deshaun Jackson in his 2nd year, and a lot of speed on this team. And again, what is the answer that Jake Delhomme can find for his team, now trailing 24-7? And there's a guy who's sitting by himself because he's been basically a loner since that first catch.
And that fan has no chance of cooling off his intensity, does it?
Yeah. Steve Smith sitting on the defensive bench. So it's 1st down on the 26 for the Eagles. McNabb with time and nearly picked off by Peppers. Former basketball player at North Carolina, so that's nothing new for him.
And that's exactly what the Panthers are looking for, a big play to help swing the momentum back and help them get into the game. Sometimes when your offense is struggling, the defense has to step forward and create opportunities for them. And they were oh so close there if Julius Peppers had held on to the football. It's a very important series for the Panthers defensively to try and help out their offense.
Remember, they thought they had good field position the last time. Here is Brian Westbrook with his best run of the day. And with Peters leading the way, gets a first down and out of bounds. Quinton Teal ultimately makes the play, but not before. Brian Westbrook picks up 18.
I think big number 71 has settled down after his 2 early false starts. How about that, leading Brian Westbrook, number 36, on the last play. Watch Peters, 71. Look at him get out. Look at the big fella run. And boy, he holds the block, just plows Thomas Davis, and allows Westbrook additional yardage.
And who's better at picking the running room with a blocker in front of him than number 36? First down, and they go to him again. And picks up 1 yard on the play, up to the 44. Once again, let's check in with Kurt Menefee for a game break.
Well, Jets rookie quarterback Mark Sanchez getting his first NFL touchdown. Doesn't come much easier than that. To Chancey Stuckey, 30 yards on the score. Jets up on top of Houston, 10-0 in the second quarter. So I get Dick and Charles, a good day for teams wearing green.
That's true, and the Texans hope to have a good year, but Sanchez adding a lot of star power, I think, for the Jets. Second down and 9. Donovan McNabb's pass is caught by Curtis and out of bounds. And they'll move the chains again to the 41-yard line of Carolina. 15 yards on that pass play.
No accident that just 2 plays after the nice running play by Westbrook, you're able to come back with play action, have plenty of time to throw the ball, and find your guy wide open.
Are you surprised at Sanchez and the impact he's made, at least in camp?
I am, just because it's another rookie quarterback, but let's face it, Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan have changed the curve for all rookie quarterbacks.
First down, looking one way, and this pass to Deshaun Jackson is caught at the 34-yard line. Under 6 minutes to go, that was a short 6-yard pickup with Thomas Davis, the weak side backer, on the play. Well, initially you thought the Eagle defense would be tired after that 8-minute scoring drive to start the game, but now it looks like the Panthers defense.
Julius Peppers out of the game, getting a breather.
Second and 4. Westbrook cuts to the outside. First down. Gets inside the 20. Charles Godfrey on the play, but this is 17 yards for Westbrook. And the Eagles are wearing down the Panthers here in the first half.
And the concern about Brian Westbrook was his return. Off-season ankle surgery, off-season knee surgery. Look at a great job up front. Jamal Jackson, number 67, the center, helped control things. Winston Justice got downfield. Number 80, Kevin Curtis. You like what you're seeing from the Eagle game.
Westbrook gets a breather. LaShawn McCoy in. Look at that time for McNabb. And he has McCoy. Penalty flag is down. Incomplete. And they have picked the flag up. So no penalty there. It'll be second down and 10. You look at ball control, you say, well, Carolina must be sitting pretty. Look at the points. And the handoff to LaShawn McCoy. And loose ball on the field. Let's see whether McCoy was down by contact. He wasn't. He falls, and the Panthers get it back. Richard Marshall recovers the fumble for Carolina. And could they ever use that right now, partner?
Exactly what they needed. They would have loved to have had it on the other end of the field, but they'll take what they can get. And look at Andy Reid holding the red challenge flag, waiting for word up top about whether he should throw it or not, about whether LaShawn McCoy was down. And there's no question that he was down before the ball came out.
There it goes. The red flag is thrown.
I think Andy Reid's going to win this challenge. The Eagles will keep the football.
Charles, I thought the knee and the elbow were
It was
down.
everything. I mean, knee, elbow, chest.
Philadelphia is challenging the ruling on the field of a fumble.
And we're going to take a timeout with 4:40 remaining in the half.
I think Andy Reid's going to win this because, look, he's already down there. Elbow down also. Ball still tucked in the crook of his arm before it comes out. I think Philadelphia keeps the football here.
So McCoy, of course, in his first NFL game, and of course, remember Carell Buckhalter no longer on the scene. He's in Denver. And McCoy taken on the second from Pittsburgh and perhaps the heir apparent to Westbrook.
After reviewing the play, the runner's knee is down with his ball in his possession at the 12-yard line. So it'll still be Philadelphia's ball. Third down, four to go, ball on the 12-yard line.
So it'll.
Yeah. Woo. Thank goodness. Well, Westbrook's still telling him, make sure you hold on to the football.
All right. So the Eagles now have a third down and about 4.
I attack the end zone if I'm Philadelphia. You know why? Carolina needed that turnover. Thought they had it. A little bit deflated possibly because they didn't get it on the challenge.
Third down and 4. Let's see if they go for it here. And there's a short pass to Brent Selleck. Flag is down. And Selleck is stopped about 1.5 yards short of the first down. McNabb to Selleck resulted in a touchdown earlier.
Offside defense, number 96, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Well, things can't be any worse. We got a beautiful day in Charlotte, and that's where it ended for the Panthers, I think.
And that, to me, is a reflection of the disappointment Carolina felt. They really needed that turnover. Thought they had it, and then it seemed to them it was taken away, and you lose your focus a little bit. Lined up in the neutral zone, Tyler Brayton gave Philadelphia a free play.
Mental mistakes, and we really have seen it on both sides, but it's really damaged the Panthers. So 4 minutes to go in the half. Here is Westbrook. And Westbrook gets inside the 5-yard line. And Lewis Leonard, who was picked up on a trade from the Browns after Kiyomatu went out with his Achilles injury. But you know, this is a team in which the Eagles had problems with their offensive line with all the injuries. Panthers with a solid defense. Ron Meeks in his first year came over from the Colts as defensive coordinator. Second down and goal from the 4. McNabb on a checkoff, and here's the flip to Westbrook, and he gets in. Touchdown, Eagles. What isn't working for the Philadelphia Eagles in every phase of the game in this first half?
Watch Jonathan McNabb reading the defense. He had checked off, went to the shovel pass, and a great job coming around by number 59, Nick Cole, leading up into the hole, allowing Brian Westbrook access into the end zone.
John Fox is going to have a big task at intermission to get his team back in the game in the heat and everything. And David Akers looking to add the 31st point. And it's good. 31 now unanswered points by the Philadelphia Eagles. They've done it on defense, scored on special teams as well. And Westbrook with his first TD, and McNabb has thrown for 2. None of them long range.
Watch the 11-year veteran checking off, orchestrating, making sure everyone is lined up correctly. Read the defense, went to the shovel pass. Look at Cole, 59, leading around. And Westbrook back in the end zone.
That offensive line has done a pretty good job. Nick Cole, who's playing left guard. Max Jean Gillis, who went into the locker room. And the Eagles up 31-7. And I don't think anyone anticipated this kind of first half.
No way we saw this coming, especially with the way the game began.
So there's the scoring drive. 10 plays, 74 yards. So they got a 74-yard drive. Eagles will have their home opener next Sunday against the New Orleans Saints. And Steve Smith, who caught the first pass when the Panthers started the game, has not sniffed the football since.
Due to the coverage the Eagles have.
David Akers will kick off, and Mike Goodson is back deep. Kick heading over to the sideline, goes out of bounds, so they'll start from the 40-yard line.
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicking team. Ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. First down.
Well, starting tomorrow, make lunchtime your new prime time as FoxSports.com brings you lunch with the benefits. Log on to check out new episodes of original sports shows delivered to your desktop every Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern. It all starts tomorrow with the After Party with Jay Glazer, where Jay chats with all of today's biggest performers, only at FoxSports.com on MSN. First down on the 40. Panthers break there, but no one in the neighborhood on that first pass from Jake Delhomme. Boy, the Eagle defense risen to the occasion, haven't they?
Sheldon Brown, how about that? Again with great hands, finished off by Okmin Jordan on another blitz.
So Delhomme is 3 for 10 for 19 yards. And now under siege again, gets it to D'Angelo Williams up the middle, breaks a couple of tackles down the sideline, and finally knocked out of bounds. And so a gain of 20 yards.
Well, standard play call, isn't it? When you have so much pressure in your face, finally going to the draw or the screen in this case. And D'Angelo Williams with some great running. Look at 89, Steve Smith trying to help out as Gokong goes over the top for the tackle.
Quickly out of the huddle, first down. Delhomme from the 40 completes it to Jonathan Stewart out of the backfield. And he gets a first down. Asante Samuel makes the play. And a first down at the 28-yard line. And again, the Panthers operating without a huddle. Under 2.5 to go in the first half. Delhomme completes to Muhsin Muhammad and a first down to the 10. Wyndon Michael makes the play on Muhammad. And remember, the Panthers benefiting by the kick out of bounds by Akers. They started at the 40.
It looks like Jake Delhomme's going to let the clock wind down to the 2-minute warning, but the no huddle has really helped the Panthers for two reasons. They're fighting the clock, and also they needed a change in tempo. What they were doing before wasn't working.
31-7. Carolina trying to get in. Again, it's been a while. Two minutes remaining in the first half. The Panthers down 31-7. Threatening here with a first down at the 10 of the Eagles. D'Angelo Williams gets it to about the 7. Panthers have only one timeout left. They used 2 in the first quarter of this game.
First, 30-second timeout.
Eagles will use their first timeout. And D'Angelo Williams coming up lane as he leads the field, and Jonathan Stewart will replace him as he does. Coming up at halftime, we'll have the Visa halftime report. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy in our studios. We'll have scores and highlights and the Fox Sports ticker as well to bring you up to date on the first weekend, kickoff weekend at the end. Isn't it great for the game to be back? I mean, I think more than any other year, we were waiting for this season to finally start.
Really were. And you know, when you watch everyone else get started, all other levels of football have been playing for a couple of weeks.
Great point.
We couldn't wait to get here today.
Second and goal. They mark it at the 8. Delhomme pumps once, and his pass is ruled a catch by Steve Smith, his second of the game. And even that pass wasn't really that crisp. Not to come down hard on Jake, and a timeout is called by the Eagles, their second.
Yeah, Steve Smith made a tremendous catch.
So now each team has one timeout remaining. The ball will be at the 4 with third down coming up. On this drive, Jake Delhomme is 4 for 5 for 54 yards. He has thrown 2 interceptions, both to Sheldon Brown. So that's the start of a big day, as you know, and coming up next, the second half of the Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, the Redskins and the Giants.
Jason Campbell's chance to emerge, as we discussed earlier.
What's better to do it on the road against a divisional foe? So it'll be 3rd and goal on the 4. Each team with one timeout left. Out of the shotgun, Jake Delhomme up the middle, knocked down, and it was Chris Gokong. Alert on the play. Muhsin Muhammad was the intended receiver just at the goal line. So 4th down coming up. And the field goal team comes out.
Look, he wanted to go one-on-one right here with Steve Smith, but look at the coverage by Ellis Hobbs. You can't throw the football into that coverage. And so he comes back trying to get to Muhsin Muhammad, his reliable veteran, and a great job by Chris Gokong breaking on the football and knocking it away.
So John Casey with a 22-yard field goal attempt with a 1:45 to go in the half. And this kick is good. And the Panthers now trail 31-10. Remember, they had a 7-0 lead. Marched 70 yards on an 8-minute drive to start the game, and all signs were rosy for the Panthers. And then 31 points by the Eagles dampened Carolina. Well, it's great to see that man, Jerry Richardson, the owner of the Panthers, who had a heart transplant February 1st on Super Bowl Sunday. Great to see him at the game. And of course, next to him, to his left, is Paul Tagliabue, the former NFL commissioner. And the two of them are here today. First down, McNabb, and it's complete to Deshaun Jackson. Oh, make it Kevin Curtis, and a first down.
And the Eagles going with a hurry up now, trying to get more points before the half.
Browns now leading the Minnesota Vikings as Westbrook. There's a towel over the shoulders of Andy Reid, so he's feeling it. Huh?
He's always been known as a smart coach, but he is a factor down there. That's why both.
Jeremy Maclin is into the game and split wide to the right on first down. McNabb's pass is caught. Low pass to Deshaun Jackson, and it's incomplete. Could not hold on to it. And again, a reminder, the Visa halftime report, scores and highlights. Fox Sports Ticker with our entertaining group out in LA, led by Kurt Menefee, Terry Bradshaw, Howie Long, Michael Strahan, and Jimmy Johnson. 2nd and 10. And the pass to Westbrook is caught close to midfield.
Seconds in length.
Eagles. So the Eagles are fresh out of timeouts, as they would say. 3rd down and 7. Little more than half a minute remaining in this first half. Chase from the pocket is McNabb, and incomplete downfield to Deshaun Jackson. So with 30 seconds to go, 4th down coming up. Charles Johnson, Panther defensive end, shaken up.
This is why coaches talk about pressure all the time. All right, as we go through this now, there's Charles Johnson, number 95, close to McNabb on the takedown. He's the one who gets hurt. But Donovan McNabb sees Julius Peppers, number 90, in his face, unable to really set and get much on the football, and that forces the incompletion. Here comes Peppers, number 90, because Donovan McNabb wasn't able to really step into the throw. Otherwise, Deshaun Jackson was wide open.
So now the timeout that the Panthers have to take takes care of their third. And there's Jeff Triplett going over to John Fox.
And he's talking about,
pull down.
Yeah,
Yep.
Exactly. He's talking about what happened to Charles Johnson on the play. He says that's a takedown, which led to the injury of my man.
Well, let's take a look back. 3 touchdowns by the Eagles in under 5 minutes. One on the defensive side, Deshaun Jackson with a punt return. Abby Amiri recovering the fumble. 2 interceptions by Sheldon Brown. And for the Panthers, D'Angelo Williams gave them the 7-0 lead, and a rough first half for Jake Delhomme.
On the positive side, Dick, Carolina went downfield and got a field goal on their last drive, and now has forced Philadelphia into a punt to end the first half. So if you're talking about looking for positives, which Carolina Panther fans are, they scored, they held them, so at least they stopped things a little bit heading into the intermission.
Sav Rocca will kick. Captain Munnerlyn, the rookie from South Carolina, signals for the fair catch at the 15-yard line. But you have to go far and deep to look for bright spots for Carolina. You know, you still have a full half to go, but their defense expected to be improved. Hey, John Beeson hasn't made a tackle today.
It's been difficult for them.
Hasn't made a tackle today.
It's been difficult for them, as you've pointed out. 2 interceptions given up by the offense, punt return on special teams.
So it's been a team effort.
And they, exactly. And Philadelphia scored a touchdown on defense. So when the Panthers are looking at it, hey, hasn't been all us. We need a few more opportunities.
Well, now the Panthers just want to get into the locker room. But a 3-touchdown lead by the Philadelphia Eagles as the final seconds wind down in this first half. Steve Smith certainly not a weapon. Brian Westbrook scoring a touchdown. McNabb throwing a couple. And as we mentioned, a defensive touchdown, and Cole with the forced fumble. And the Philadelphia Eagles will take a 31-10 lead into intermission here in Charlotte.
Welcome to the Visa Halftime Report. More people go with Visa.
Welcome to the Visa Halftime Report. Kurt Menefee along with Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy. And now we see why Jimmy Johnson picked Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl this year on the pregame show. Right, Terry?
The game. Man has definitely looked into his crystal ball. D'Angelo Williams, though, early in this game, Jimmy, you didn't look so good. He scampers to the outside, 11-yard touchdown. It's 7-0 Carolina. But Deshaun Jackson feels this punt. Kurt, now that you've lost 56 pounds, he can't outrun you, my brother. That punt return, 85-yard, 2-pay touchdown. 31-10, all Eagles in the first half over the Panthers. Dallas at Tampa Bay, Tony Romo. No Terrell Owens, who will take up the slack. Well, I'll tell you who's taking up the slack for the running game. That man, Cadillac Williams, last 2 seasons out with major knee surgery. He's back 70-something yards in the first half. But it's Roman Miles Austin. Nice adjustment by Austin, 42-yard touchdown reception. Dallas 13-7 over a stubborn Tampa Bay Bucks. Detroit at New Orleans. Drew Brees, great Pro Bowl quarterback for the Saints. Matthew Stafford, #1 pick in the draft. Boy, am I having trouble. All right.
You're doing
Brees
great.
You really are. It's Brees to meet you. 39-yard touchdown strike, 14-0 Saints. And then it's Stuckey in the end zone, 1-yard strike. It's 28-10.
Jeremy Shockey.
There you go. Minnesota at Cleveland. Favre talking to his former coach Eric Mangini. Favre dump it into the flat to Adrian Peterson. Peterson does the rest. 18-yard reception Score is 3-all at this point. And then Peterson 1-yard touchdown run. Vikings 10-3 over Cleveland. It's 13-10 now over Cleveland, over the Minnesota Vikings. Why? Because Josh Krebs, fourth-year pro out of Kent State, made the Pro Bowl last year on special teams. And here it is, folks. 67-yard punt return for the touchdown. 13-10. Cleveland over Minnesota.
Catch your breath, brother. Matt Ryan looking good as the Falcons lead Miami 10-0 in the third. Todd Haley down only 3 points in his Chiefs head coaching debut at Baltimore. Denver's Josh McDaniels up 3-0 in Cincinnati in his head coaching debut. And Jim Caldwell, first game as head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, up by 1 against Jacksonville.
Excited, and we'll back the energy off. Jets at Houston. Mark Sanchez, the #1 draft choice of the Giants. First touchdown pass, beautiful job of reading. Coverage was blown. That is Chancey Stuckey for a 30-yard touchdown reception. It's 10-0. See, when you slow things down.
No, don't pat yourself on the back yet.
Sanchez plays for the Giants now? I thought he played for the Jets.
Did I say Giants? Yeah. Well, see, I can say that I screwed every one of those highlights up then.
Let's get back to the Philadelphia-Carolina game. And Howie, when I said Jimmy picked Philadelphia to win it all, what'd you say?
Not in this game.
Yeah. He didn't. You said Carolina today.
It's a tough
Jimmy.
Well, in a span of just a few minutes, Philadelphia scored 21 points and only ran one offensive play. Fumble recovery, touchdown, punt return, touchdown, touchdown pass. Mistakes can turn a game completely around. Did Jake Delhomme get a new contract? I mean, 3 turnovers? Wow.
Well, the thing is, I think everyone was worried about the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles and how they were going to play without Jim Johnson. And as you see right now, they're carrying on a tradition of what he set there extremely well, because the pressure that they're putting on Delhomme is the reason that it doesn't matter if he got a new contract.
Oh, okay. It has nothing to do with it.
No, nothing at all.
6 turnovers at the end of the year for Jake in the playoffs. Carried over to this year. Defensively, they struggled in the preseason. It's going to be interesting to see how Carolina reacts in the second half and as the season goes on.
It'll be interesting to see which Jimmy Johnson's right. Right now, his end-of-the-year pick is ahead, but the second half is coming. His today pick could be right.
I told you Philadelphia's going to be good.
We'll find out. Second half is up next.
And welcome back to Charlotte. And if you're going to be a window washer and be on a ledge of any kind at this point, you better be an Eagle fan, is my suggestion, as you look at the great skyline of Charlotte, North Carolina, as the Eagles lead by 3 touchdowns. Dick and Charles here as we get set for the second half. You're John Fox. You're in the locker room. You're down by 3 touchdowns against a good team. Specifically, what happens?
Number one, you have to be encouraging with your defense, because the score says 31. But the defense didn't give up the fumble in the end zone. The defense didn't give up the punt return for a touchdown. So it's not all their fault. On the offensive side of the football, you don't abandon the run. That's still what you do. But you have to get the ball in space to your running backs. That worked well on their last drive. D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart, get the ball to them in space. And since Steve Smith is being so heavily occupied, someone else has to step up. Musa Muhammad is a terrific second receiver, but now they need Dwayne Jarrett possibly to jump out there. Kenneth Moore, someone has to help take the pressure off of Jake Delhomme.
And maybe the rookie Goodson,
possibly
who's shown well. He could be a guy as well. So we'll see what transpires as the Eagles take the second half kickoff and down it in the end zone for a touchback as we send it down to Laura Okmin.
Thanks, Dick. Well, Andy Reid said no lead is a safe lead. He wasn't happy with how the Eagles ended the half, said the key is to kind of keep doing what they're doing just consistently. As for John Fox, he was encouraging with his guys in the locker room, saying it is a whole new half. We can do this. They scored 31. We can score 31. We're down 20. Pretty simple. Don't turn the ball over.
And you're absolutely right, Laura, because you're looking at the Eagles, who set a franchise record 416 points. Last year, the Panthers were 414 right there, so they can score. First down, and McNabb completes it to Brent Selleck, and he is wrestled down by 3 Panthers at the 27-yard line, but picks up 6 in the process. Brent Selleck losing his helmet in the process. Story here, obviously the points off turnovers, Charles.
Yeah, you see the 3 in the ledger for the Carolina Panthers. 17 points is what that translated into. Don't even worry about time of possession. Donovan McNabb certainly not worried about it. He was able to get a nice long rest over there along with the rest of the offense, and they still put points on the board.
2nd down and 4. Brian Westbrook stopped short of the first down marker by a couple of yards. And that'll be 3rd down. Donovan McNabb, 9 of 16 for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. They weren't really picturesque. 9-yard toss that Brent Selleck took in, and the shovel pass to Westbrook. He'll take him the way he can get him. 3rd and 1.
Panthers trying to put some emotion in it now.
2 tight ends for the Eagles. Alex Smith, newcomer, joins Selleck in the pitch to Westbrook and dives forward for the first down by contact, according to the official, at the 31. And a 2-yard gain. Niall Diggs making the play, but the Eagles keep the ball.
Remember this play in the first half as run by the Carolina Panthers? Just fake it inside and pitch it. And now look at the 3 guys in the inside now having to run from inside out, which gave Brian Westbrook just enough space where he beat Niall Diggs to the first down marker. John Beeson over the top.
LaShawn McCoy, rookie from Pitt, is in the game. And on the end around, Deshaun Jackson carries. And there's the speed again going around Marshall and getting about 6 extra yards in the process. Deshaun Jackson, who returned a punt 85 yards for a touchdown in the first half, and this time he gets 30 yards.
They do a nice job sending flow to one side, but watch the blocking on the backside. Number 71, Jason Peters, right here. Excellent job. And then look out wide, number 80, Kevin Curtis, allowing Deshaun Jackson and at least an additional 15, 20 yards. Beautiful job. See him read the block there, jumps outside.
Panthers look like they were in slow motion.
Deshaun Jackson makes a lot of people look like they're in slow motion.
Yes. So a first down at the 44 of Carolina, and there's Westbrook. Tell you one thing, the Eagles offense has been in rhythm for a while now as Beeson and Davis stop Westbrook after a 5-yard pickup.
And people were worried coming into the game about Brian Westbrook being reintegrated into the offense. Remember, didn't really play in the preseason. I had the offseason ankle and knee surgery, but one thing he said is he's feeling rested and healthier than he has in the last couple of seasons, and he's definitely looking that way today.
You know, with McNabb, and even when they had T.O., they said the key to this offense, always Brian Westbrook.
There's so many ways you can use him to hurt a defense.
2nd and 5, and there is the fake end around and the give to Westbrook. And Westbrook at the 39, Julius Peppers making the play, so no gain there. So it'll be 3rd and 5 for Philly.
And in addition to Brian Westbrook being reintroduced to the lineup, how about the Philadelphia offensive line, which today does not look like what they anticipated, because Winston Justice is starting at right tackle for Sean Andrews. And if you're looking on the backside, the addition of Jason Peters is huge. They wanted him, and they picked up an All-Pro from Buffalo.
Well, Westbrook goes to the sideline now. And it's 3rd down and 5. Empty backfield, and Donovan McNabb will get the first down as he slides just when he had enough yardage to the 34. So once again, good coverage downfield, but they let McNabb get free to get the yards.
First guy you want to try and find downfield if you're Donovan McNabb is Deshaun Jackson. But the coverage was excellent by the Carolina Panthers. Except one guy running free, but at that point, Donovan McNabb had already flushed. So Hank Baskett, just keep signaling. One of these days, he'll catch you.
They're going to measure to see whether the Eagles got the first down. What a deep, wide receiving core this Philadelphia Eagle team is right now. Reggie Brown inactive in this game. And with Avant and Baskett, McClain the rookie, they got the first down. Curtis and Jackson, they got the best depth they've ever had in that spot.
And that's exactly what Donovan McNabb's been asking for a number of years now. Keep adding weapons to the arsenal, and that will allow us all to play better. And when to continue on, think about it, the point is made by the offensive line. Todd Harrimans is not playing today either. And we saw earlier Max Gene Gillis got hurt, and they had to use Nick Cole, who started, and he had to play a little bit extra, but he's played awfully well. This line has done a tremendous job today, considering they haven't been together.
Mixing and matching so well, Charles, you're right. Here is Westbrook cutting to the outside and lost his footing before Chris Gamble stopped him at the 31 and a gain of 3 yards. So we've been talking about now Sean Andrews out with the back injury. He was slated to be the right tackle.
Stacey Andrews is coming back from off-season knee surgery and played tackle with Cincinnati, now playing guard here in Philadelphia. Nick Cole in the lineup today, Winston Justice, and Winston Justice playing right tackle, a more comfortable position for him than left.
2nd and 7. Fake on the handoff, plenty of time, and it's intercepted by John Beeson. Still on his feet and brought down at the 45 by Jason Peters. They get the 35-yard line, so John Beeson taking over the leadership of this defense, and the first interception of the game by McNabb. The Panthers get it back. Well, let's see if the Carolina Panthers can take advantage of this turnover. First down on their 35-yard line. And here is D'Angelo Williams. Stutter stepping his way and gets a couple of yards on first down with Trent Cole right there. But
right here's John Beeson, the middle linebacker. Watch him following Donovan McNabb. Thinks it's a run, but then he falls back into coverage. And McNabb has a wide open receiver but doesn't get enough loft on the football, and Beeson makes a tremendous catch. And we had a good time visiting with him the other day. The guy loves being the quarterback of the defense, a very cerebral player as well as a physical player.
You know, looking at that replay, it looked like he was the spy for McNabb.
It certainly appeared that way.
2nd down and 8. Here comes pressure from the right side, and Delome's not going to be able to get away. Omar Gaither, Mike Patterson, all in there. Gaither, of course, starting in the middle with Stuart Bradley out for the year, and like Delhomme shaking his head, shaking up maybe.
The pressure creates the sack, but the coverage downfield finishes the play off, because Jake Delhomme really had nowhere to go with the football. I was watching downfield coverage, nowhere for him to slide it in, which allowed the pressure, the guys up front to finish him off.
A 10-yard loss. So there the big people came in from the right side of the line, and they can't get the play in time. So a timeout called by Carolina. Just when they look like they could have an opening. Who knows? (31-10) and a timeout called by the Panthers, and Jim Johnson has to be looking Benson his first effort as the defensive coordinator. 3rd down and 18. Here comes the pressure again, and here comes the interception, picked off by Okmin Jordan. Jake Delhomme wondering what hit him, and that is the 3rd interception of the day by the Eagles.
Not only did they bring pressure here, but they played the screen. Watch Okmin Jordan, number 56. The pressure will come, but he's sitting on the running back. He feels it and makes the play. See, the pressure forces Jake Delhomme to get rid of it. He thinks his screen guy is out there. His arm is hit, so the ball flutters. But Okmin Jordan sat right on D'Angelo Williams and made the play. So they had the pressure dialed up, but they also anticipated the screen being called.
Look at Jake Delhomme's 19 dropbacks, 9 hurries, 3 sacks, and of course 3 turnovers. 1st and goal now for the Eagles from the 10-yard line, and the pass caught by Westbrook, maybe a yard.
And that was not designed really to go to Westbrook initially. That was one of those plays that you're going for the jugular. You had the turnover, first and 10 down deep. Donovan McNabb wanted to go in the end zone. Coverage took that away, so he went to the safety valve, which was Westbrook.
Huge turnover, and John Fox knows. You heard Laura's report. You know, we can score 31 to new half. Well, It's the same old game.
And she's also told her can't turn it over.
Inside handoff. Westbrook, look at the way he cuts. And he gets down to about the 3-yard line. So he'll pick up 6 on that one.
Getting off-season surgery is not usually the way to get rested, but it has worked for Brian Westbrook. How about that bounce and cut? It's not just the ability to run the football with the legs. The vision comes into play also, and Brian Westbrook has it in abundance.
And there's the conference over on the Panthers side. After that first drive, nada for them today. Nearly 7 minutes to go in this third, and there's McNabb with a lot of time. McNabb is going to run it in and backs his way in for the score. Donovan McNabb. And now holding on to his left knee, and McNabb may be hurt. Actually grabbing both of them. And everyone in Philadelphia is holding their breath right now. First held onto his left knee, and then it's been the right. And there you see Jeff Lurie, the owner, and Joe Banner. And there is Michael Vick, who is here today and is on the exempt list, so he can't work out or practice with the team. He becomes eligible in week 3. Donovan McNabb is hurt. We'll be back. Well, Eagle fans can now exhale, take the sigh of relief as Donovan McNabb walks off on his own power. 3 different Panthers had hit him. You hear that?
Wow. First shot from Richard Marshall was the one that hurt the most.
The extra point by Akers is good. So that had to be the most painful touchdown that Donovan McNabb has scored in his career. And the Eagles capitalizing on the turnover, leading 38-10. In the house, Michael Vick. So it's 38-10, favor the Eagles, and just a bit curious would be Andy Reid as he goes over to checks on Donovan McNabb as they work on his back. Kevin Cobb is the only other active quarterback today for the Eagles. And there is Mike Goodson back to return the kick by David Akers. 38-10 lead by Philadelphia. And here is Goodson starting from the 4. And down he goes, shy of the 25. Well, the second game of our doubleheader, Redskins and Giants. We talked quarterback. What about running backs, too? We got Clinton Portis for the Redskins, Brandon Jacobs for the Giants.
And the Giants are a team, obviously, that thinks that they can go to a Super Bowl. But for Eagle fans, you just told them they could exhale, didn't you?
Well,
maybe not so fast.
Going to the locker room is Donovan McNabb, so Kevin Cobb will be the quarterback. And there, for the Eagle fans here, the cheer goes up from McNabb. First down on the 24. And Jake Delhomme going deep on first down to Steve Smith, and it's intercepted. Asante Samuel picks it off. The 4th interception thrown by Jake O'Donnell, and the Eagles get it back, or I should say Jake Delhomme.
Great position by Asante Samuel. You see Steve Smith, he gets a step, but Samuel is right at the hip and is playing the football. He never has to worry at all about Smith behind him because the ball's thrown slightly short. And Samuel had the better position, went up, high-pointed it, interception Eagles.
And look at the numbers in the divisional playoff. 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions, also lost a fumble, 4 picks today. So in his last 2 games, both here in Carolina, Jake Delhomme has thrown 9 interceptions. And Kevin Cobb is into the game. And LaShawn McCoy will be his running back. And McCoy getting it. And the rookie brings it to the 39-yard line, and time for a game break. And here's Kurt Menefee.
A couple of firsts for the Vikings in Cleveland. Brett Favre's first touchdown pass as a Minnesota Viking. Percy Harvin, the rookie out of Florida, his first career touchdown. And the Vikings extend their lead 24-13 over the Browns in the fourth quarter. Happy times for the Vikes. Dick?
All right, so the Vikings leading the Browns on the road in an interconference matchup, and Jake Delhomme got to be shaking his head. And you know, it was a long time between tough games, but this will be shorter as the Panthers play in Atlanta next week. On the end around, bobbled by Deshaun Jackson, and he knocks it out of bounds alertly to prevent the Panthers from getting possession.
And this is the worry when you change quarterbacks. What about ball handling? Not just quarterback center exchange, but how things are going with people you're handing the ball off to. That was really on Deshaun Jackson. Ball was placed in the proper spot. Get your pocket open, no pocket there, and Deshaun Jackson doesn't grasp football. But this is an alert play at the end where he bats it out of bounds to make sure the Panthers can't get it. But you got to form a pocket for the quarterback to put it in.
So it'll be 2nd and 10. Understand we've had a couple of audio problems. Thanks for bearing with us. And Kevin Cobb, and a flag is down, and Kevin Curtis making the tackle and hit immediately at the 46-yard line by Captain Munnerlyn. But a penalty appears to be against the Eagles.
Illegal formation offense. Number 76 not up on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
So here's Kevin Cobb, who was a 2nd-round pick and the Eagles' first choice in 2007. And even when Cobb was there, they were saying, okay, is the day's number for Donovan McNabb. He never gets a break, Donovan, right?
And you remember the benching last year. Kevin Cobb got a start thereafter. Didn't work out so well. Donovan McNabb came back and played very well.
Baltimore Raven game. And McNabb came out, and this one nearly picked off by Chris Gamble on the pass intended for Deshaun Jackson. And it'll be incomplete.
Watch Chris Gamble, number 20. He sees the route early, sits on it, and defeats the block by he gets underneath it so fast. Hank Baskett, number 84, never has a chance to block him. It's a wide receiver screen with the other wide receiver blocking, but Chris Gamble was right at the hip of Deshaun Jackson. Didn't allow Hank Baskett an opportunity to block him. Great read by number 20.
3rd down and 15. So the Panthers trailing 38-10 after being down 31-10 at halftime. Beeson made an interception. Panthers couldn't capitalize. And here is McCoy turning the corner, and he is hit immediately by Thomas Davis, the weak side linebacker.
Philadelphia fortunate in a sense to get out of this series with a punt. I mean, the reverse and the fumble could have turned into a disastrous play for him. Deshaun Jackson knocks it out of bounds. Very nearly picked off on the screen.
Sav Rocket will be kicking to Captain Munnerlyn with nearly 4.5 to play in this 3rd quarter. There's Munnerlyn. Gets hit, stays on his feet, going down the sideline. And we've seen a new quarterback for Philadelphia. We'll see a new one with the Panthers. Josh McCown is coming in for Jake Delhomme when we get back. Well, it may be easy to get down on Jake Delhomme right now. Has been relieved at quarterback. But let's go back and look at most wins since the 03 season when he came into the picture. Look at those names: Brady, Manning, Roethlisberger, McNabb himself, and Jake Delhomme with 54 wins. So you said it at the top of the broadcast, Charles. He gets wins, but today a different story.
Today hasn't been his day. And now they've made the move to Josh McCown.
1st down on the 33. Here's Jonathan Stewart. Darren Howard making the tackle, and a good gain on 1st down by Stewart of 5 yards. So Josh McCown, who Played in 2 games last year. And Carolina, which showed some flashes in the no huddle in the first half, in that mode now. 2nd and 5. McCown and Asante Samuel very nearly had not only a second interception, but a touchdown as well. And Jaquay Parker putting the pressure on McCown.
It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. If there's pressure in his face, it's going to be difficult to be accurate. And so when he throws the ball out there, look at Asante Samuel. When you talk about a definition of a ball hawk, how about 23 interceptions since 2005, first in the NFL? The man knows how to go to the football.
This was a team, Charles, that was last in takeaways 2 years ago, and Asante Samuel kind of changed all of that.
Turned it all around for them. They made a great improvement. +6 last year in turnover margin.
3rd down and 5 on the rollout. And this pass incomplete as Steve Smith, well covered, we might add, on the short pass, unable to hold on. So it's 4th down. And Baker will come in to kick. So Steve
and produced almost a 1st down. So not the expectation at all for Steve Smith.
No, he's the exciting game breaker. Not today. And there you see movement as one of the Eagles. And it was Chris Clemens, number 91, jumping.
Sheldon Brown in a game of chicken out there.
Yeah. And so it's a 5-yard penalty, and that's going to give the Panthers a 1st down, I believe.
I mean, that's just what you cannot do if you're the Eagles.
Offside, unabated to the kicker. Number 91 of the defense. 5-yard penalty results in a 1st down.
It's on Clemens. There he is.
There's the jump. And now he's trying to get back. Ball snapped into the neutral zone. But the reason you say that, obviously, you know it's not what you want to do. But here's the thing. You're up 38-10.
Where are you going?
You're about to get the football. Why are you so worried about pump block and all that? Just go block someone and get the ball back. That's the issue.
I think Andy Reid is saying that right now on the sideline. So it's a 1st down from the 43. And McCown, the 8-year veteran from Sam Houston State. Quick release. Caught by the tight end, Jeff King. His first catch of the game. Up to the 46. So they get the minimal yardage there.
You know, I look back at this move as they continue with the no huddle. I think Panther fans are wondering why go to Josh McCown now and you didn't go to him in the playoff last year.
McCown slings it and off the hands of King. Tell you what, the story as it's developed in this game, the Eagles defense.
Been tremendous, and that's why I said earlier, Josh McCown, you can make a change at quarterback, but if there's pressure in your face, it's hard to be accurate. But I think the reason they've gone to him now as opposed to the playoff game, Dick, is that Josh McCown joined the team late in training camp last year. Hard to get totally integrated into the system. And in a playoff game, John Fox went with the guy he was most comfortable with. Now he's had an off-season, OTAs, training camp, a little bit quicker to go to him.
3rd down and 8, and it's tough for anyone today against the Eagle defense. They've held the Panthers to 115 total yards, 36 through the air. And here's McCown going through the air, and it's incomplete to Steve Smith. So I guess it is not that difficult to lose concentration when you're in this heat and you're down 38-10, and you have so much hope and expectation in this game one, and everything just the air goes out of the balloon.
And sometimes you start trying too hard, trying to make a bigger play on a play where it's not there. Steve Smith wanting to catch the ball, make a move, unable to secure the catch initially.
All right, so 4th down, and Baker will be kicking. Jake Delhomme through for the day, throwing 4 interceptions, and it didn't get any easier for his replacement. Deshaun Jackson is back deep. He's going to let the ball bounce into the end zone for the touchback. And the Eagles will take over on the 20-yard line, and it's nothing new for the Eagles defense to get off to this great start. Through the years, of course, talked about Jim Johnson and all of the other leaders that this team had. Brian Dawkins, And we're playing without Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker.
The guy who orchestrates everything for them got hurt in camp, and they went back to Omar Gaither, who had played that position before, as well as weak side linebacker.
Richard Marshall appears to be the injured Panther. Cornerback, and we know, of course, Chris Harris, the strong safety, unable to go today.
Look how they were pushing on his foot, massaging his calf. Hopefully it's a cramp that they can get worked out. Oh, got it again. A lot of heat.
Well, no cramps for this man, number 22, Asante Samuel, and the Eagle defense. I tell you what, Sean McDermott, a tremendous effort, and it's got to be tough taking over for Jim Johnson in your first game against a good offensive club and dialing up the right numbers.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jim Johnson, and there it is. JJ's watching. Remember, you mentioned him watching from above. He's not smiling yet, Dick, because the job's not complete. As far as he's concerned, he wants to dial up some more blitzes.
I don't know if he ever really smiled.
He won't smile until the job's complete today.
Jackson on the reception out to the 23-yard line with under 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter. And you're looking at a well-deserved rest for the Eagles linebackers right there and defensive backs. There's Macho Harris, who started his first NFL game.
And it's been a nice day for him strictly because he hasn't had to worry about any errors.
And they're in the Wildcat now with Deshaun Jackson getting the direct snap, and he hands it off to Leonard Weaver, the fullback. And big Leonard Weaver brought down by Charles Godfrey, and that'll be a first down. And once again, we got to point out Andy Reid does not have a third quarterback active today. Maybe we just saw him.
You may very well have. But how happy is Leonard Weaver right now? He said, you know, this move from Seattle to Philadelphia has already paid off in a carry, because the fullback has been a dying breed in the NFL for years anyway, let alone being able to carry the football. He's an excited man right now.
And a first down at the 33. After the gain of 11, LaShawn McCoy, play action. Kevin Cobb's pass. Great one-handed catch by McCoy out of the backfield. And knows when to duck down against two big defenders coming into his face. And look who is back. Donovan McNabb has come back on the field from the locker room, and the report was that he had injured ribs, questionable as to whether he'd be back. And you would think, well, what's the point with a 38-10 lead? But he's back on the field.
I think he wants to be back with his teammates and show them that he's okay. It's a big deal for the team to see that their leader is all right.
His rushing touchdown, by the way, the 27th of his career. Second down and 9. McCoy bursts outside, and Captain Munnerlin, who went into play for the injured Richard Marshall at cornerback, stops McCoy after a 6-yard gain. The thing that Andy Reid talking about McCoy was that he did all the things right. You talk about running backs. What about receivers and pass protection? McCoy advanced in that department.
Did a nice job coming in, and he really got force-fed in the preseason because Brian Westbrook was not ready to play. So he got extra repetitions in game situations, which only accelerated his development.
Well, his yards per carry is pretty impressive in his first game.
They'll take that.
Third down and 3. Kevin Cobb up the middle, and it's caught, and it'll be a first down. Brent Selleck has the first down at the 46 for the Eagles.
The tight end is back in play in the Philadelphia Eagles offense with Brent Selleck.
And the fullback, as you mentioned as well,
Leonard Weaver.
There's Donovan McNabb talking with Sheldon Brown, who picked off 2 DeLone passes today. 2 DeLone passes today. And time running out. That is the end of the third quarter here in Charlotte. Nothing could be finer for the Eagles today. Sunny skies on kickoff weekend in the NFL, and here in Charlotte, the Philadelphia Eagles giving up the first 7 points of the game on an impressive drive, and that was the last time that the Panthers had anything to shout about. 31 unanswered points, and right now Kevin Cobb in relief of McNabb and knocked the ball down. It's a fumble, and it's recovered by Damian Lewis. And it was Julius Peppers who knocked the ball away from Kevin Cobb, and the Panthers will get it in Eagle territory. So another turnover.
I love to see hustle plays when the score is mounted against one team. And the Panthers have not shut their motor down on defense. It was a fake. They were faking it short because they wanted to get something deep. And look at Julius Peppers beating Winston Justice to the inside, and then with a patented strip move knocks the ball free and creates the turnover for the Panthers.
So early here in the fourth quarter, Panthers make some defensive noise, and now Josh McCown has the Panthers first down on the Eagle 35. And the quick toss to Steve Smith. Well, if incomplete, if Jake Delhomme hasn't been right today, neither has his running mate in the wide receiver department, Steve Smith. And there is Jake, and as we get on, we'll start to talk a little bit about next week when the Panthers play Atlanta. And of course, all the fans, Carolina wants to know what do they do at quarterback? Does Jake come out again?
I'm fairly confident we'll see Jake Delhomme next week.
Second down and 10. If they want a chance to win. Right.
That's their guy. Won 12 games last year.
McCown goes down. You've got no chance. And the left knee, Darren Howard making the tackle. Well, the Panthers, unlike the Eagles, do have a third quarterback in Matt Moore. And getting up gingerly and slowly walking off is McCown. So after the timeout and the injury to McCown, Matt Moore, the third Panther quarterback of the day. And when you use your emergency quarterback, the other two cannot come back in. That means Delhomme and McCown cannot return to the game. Matt Moore, originally picked up by the Cowboys as a free agent, completes his first pass to Muhsin Muhammad. And Muhsin Muhammad, with a flag down, gets a first down inside the 15-yard line. A gain of 27 yards, and let's see if they're going to bring that back.
10-yard penalty. Third down.
So the holding penalty will nullify that 27-yard gain.
And it sure looked pretty, too, for Matt Moore. His first play in the ball game. Fires a strike down the middle. I mean, look at the pass protection he gets also. Remember the pressure his two running mates had been under all game long. He throws with a clean pocket. No one at his feet. Throws a strike. All for naught.
So as Jake Delhomme just watches from the sidelines. Dante Rosario, by the way, the guilty party on the hold. So it is now third down and 26. And the ball knocked down, and they're going to call it an incompleted pass. Trent Cole putting the pressure on Matt Moore. Well, you have a new season, Charles. A lot of things that you don't necessarily expect. We have seen in this game 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah, not exactly as you draw it up on your sheet, is it? And again, it does not matter who the quarterback is if the pressure's in his face like that. And Trent Cole gets there and causes the incompletion.
Deshaun Jackson, who in the first half returned a punt 85 yards for a touchdown. Here's Jason Baker. A booming kick, and Jackson will let it go into the end zone, and the Eagles will get it at the 20. Still early here in this fourth quarter. Eagles leading 38-10. Defense, gold star. 28-point lead by the Eagles, and our game is produced by Fran Morrison, directed by Artie Kempner, who's from Delaware, and a lot of fans for Artie have come in from Wilmington to see him direct this game. 1st and 10 for the Eagles from the 20. LaShawn McCoy, and a loss of 1 on the play. You have your fans here coming in from Tennessee?
No, you'll see no signs from me.
Best there are no signs. That's what I say.
Exactly.
Redskins Giants coming up next.
What a way to get things started in the NFC East.
Look at the Eagle defense today. Look what they've done. 2 of the interceptions by Sheldon Brown.
109 total yards.
You know what Jim Johnson used to say? Points allowed and turnover ratio. That's what I look at, he said. Kevin Cobb's pass is caught by Brent Selleck, who was hit at the 24-yard line. And how about an update, Charles? Let's go to Kurt Menefee, ready for one.
Dallas and Tampa. Tony Romo having a good day. This 80-yard pass to Patrick Creighton, the longest of Romo's career. Tony Romo, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns, and they're early in the 4th quarter. Dallas with a 27-14 lead over the Bucs. Dick and Charles?
All right, thank you very much, Kurt. So let me figure this out. If Dallas goes on and wins, and if the Eagles go on and win, that means that the winner of the Giants-Redskin game will be tied with them, and the loser will be 0-1. How did they do?
Exactly. 3 in first place.
3rd down and 6. Kevin Cobb on the shuffle pass, and Julius Peppers broke it up. So what does it mean for Kevin Cobb in his appearance today?
What it means is he needs to put something on film that the coach is going to be comfortable with to know that he's truly the number 2 guy. He has continued to make some plays, and so far it hasn't been all that smooth for him. A fumble on the handoff to Deshaun Jackson, a near interception on a screen pass, ball knocked out of his hands on a scramble. You know, the play we just saw that was knocked down, it's not what they want to see, because don't forget there's the specter of Michael Vick looming by week 3.
And of course it was last year in the Ravens game when McNabb was unceremoniously taken out in the second half, had a chance there, didn't perhaps get the job done on that occasion. So Captain Munnerlyn gets upended as he is hit at the 35-yard line. We'll be back. How about a head-to-head battle? 2 of the best at what they do. Asante Samuel, Steve Smith. Edge to Samuel. 20 times head-to-head. 1 catch by Smith for 8 yards. Samuel made an interception, defensed another one. In fact, on the day, they only threw 10 times. 2 catches for 12 for 89. Matt Moore, 3rd quarterback of the game for Carolina, and the handoff to D'Angelo Williams. And Williams picks up about 3 with Quentin Michael making the tackle.
You know, Dick, you just showed that graphic. Asante Samuel head-to-head with Steve Smith, but also Sheldon Brown 2 interceptions today. Ellis Hobbs can come off the bench and give you a 3rd guy who's really a starting corner in this league. He's a starter for New England. Their ability to rotate those 3, always fresh guys on the corner.
And North passes picked off. How about Joselio Hansen? Let's include him into the act as well. You should have kept going.
and that's what Joselio's telling me right now. You can't stop at 3, man. All right, go to 4. And if you don't do it, I'll make a play so I get your attention.
And they were trying to go to, guess who? Steve Smith.
Looks like bracket coverage here, where you got Sheldon Brown outside, Joselio Hansen inside, just reading the eyes of the quarterback and jumping the slant for an interception.
You know, the Panthers lost all of their preseason games. They were 0-4, and people say, let's forget about preseason. The records don't mean anything. Heck, Detroit was 4-0 last year and lost all the games in the regular season. This is a nightmare for the Carolina Panthers today. And what do you do? Kevin Cobb going deep to Deshaun Jackson, and the ball is knocked away by Charles Godfrey, the free safety.
I think at the end of this play, roles got reversed. I think Deshaun Jackson became the defensive back. Watch Charles Godfrey's coverage. See how he's falling into the play? He's more the receiver. Deshaun Jackson has to knock it away.
So Jackson, who's had the big day, is the punt returner with an 85-yard touchdown return. 2nd down and 10. And here is McCoy. Goes to the outside. Boy, he gets there quickly, doesn't he?
He certainly does. And he runs the ball with good vision also. You go back to his days at Pittsburgh, and Tony Dorsett at one point said, so many people have told me about guys who are the next Tony Dorsett at Pittsburgh. This is the first guy I've seen play that I actually believe that. So that's pretty high praise coming from the Hall of Fame.
No question about it. A 7-yard gain there, and he looks thin as a reed, but he doesn't mind going inside. And once again, what really has impressed Andy Reid is his pass protection ability, and you have to be a little tough for that too. 3rd down and 3 at the 35 of the Panthers. Kevin Cobb's pass incomplete, trying to get it to Hank Baskett. So Kevin Cobb wants to make the most of every opportunity he has. It doesn't come often. And this one, what do you think?
I don't think he's making the most of the opportunity because he hasn't had a clean drive yet. I mean, that's what Andy Reid's looking for, the quarterback who can come in and get his team downfield, move them in the proper direction, obviously, and pick up some first downs, generate a little momentum. They haven't done that, and because of that, I think this is why Andy Reid's going for it on 4th down. He's trying to get more plays for his quarterback.
4th down, they need 3. Got to get it to that imaginary red line you see on the screen. Kevin Cobb's pass, got it, and it's Brent Selleck. Very quietly, Brent Selleck has had a terrific day. That was a 6-yard gain. He's caught 5 passes for 30 yards, including a touchdown.
No West Coast offense that runs at peak efficiency runs without a good tight end and a good fullback. Think about the ones we've seen in the past.
Is there a difference in the West Coast offense run by Andy Reid?
Well, I think it's probably right now in the NFL the purest version of what the West Coast offense was conceived to be in terms of making people defend.
Hold start. Number 59, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
In terms of making people defend the length and the width of the field. You know, and making sure that the ball is spread around to a number of people. Last year, Donovan McNabb completed passes to 10 different receivers who each had 200 or more yards in receiving. That's an NFL record. No one's ever done that before. That's your West Coast offense.
Donovan McNabb, who has thrown 2 touchdowns today, more or less. The short one to Selleck for a score, and then the shovel pass to Westbrook. Here is LaShawn McCoy, who was dropped immediately. It was a 1st and 15, and Thomas Davis, who has 14 tackles on the day. So very quietly, Thomas Davis has had some shining moments.
It's a nice play. Sees the play, slips the block, and makes a nice tackle on LaShawn McCoy. Thomas Davis, the strong safety turn linebacker.
So it is 2nd down and 13. And still a lot of time to go in this one. Jeremy Maclin, 19th overall pick from Missouri, split to the left. And the screen pass to Weaver, and Weaver is tackled immediately by Thomas Davis. Thomas Davis is playing this game as if the score were tied. Not that the others aren't trying, but it's easy to get worn down in weather like this.
Now, I've seen some nice plays from the Panthers defense considering how long they've been on the field this whole ball game that has shown that this is not a unit that gives up easily. Remember a couple series ago, the play Julius Peppers made, a nice hustle play. Back-to-back hustle plays by Thomas Davis. A lot of pride on that unit.
Only blemish be the fact that they're 176 rushing yards by the Eagles today. And you know, looking ahead to Atlanta next week with 2 outstanding running backs, they want to handle that. Here is McCoy. McCoy probably getting more of an opportunity than he anticipated.
And it's the right thing to do. With a 38-10 lead, you're bringing Brian Westbrook back for his first real action since last season, and you get a chance to get your young guy running. This is a perfect spot for him, and he's making the most of it.
Michael Turner and Jarius Norwood, 2 tough backs that this Panther defense has to face next week. And of course they had to face Westbrook today, and Ryan Westbrook, 51-yard field goal attempt is blocked. And it is not a live ball. Looked like Gamble and Munnerlyn both were in on the play. In any event, the Eagles do not add to their scoring total. Well, it was Julius Peppers who blocked that kick. He went high to get a piece of that attempt by Akers, his 8th field goal block, most in team history. Franchise tag on Julius Peppers. Mike Goodson has gone in the game as a receiver. First time. He was a running back in preseason, the rookie from Texas A&M. Matt Moore handing off to Goodson. And Goodson getting it out to the 44. It'll be second down.
No huddle time again for the Panthers. And you mentioned Goodson as a receiver. Let's see if they get him out in space and try and get him the ball. That's where he operates best. There's Goodson right there at the running back position. See if they flare him out, try and throw it to him.
And instead they go to the wide out, Muhsin Muhammad, and he makes the catch, does not get out of bounds, close to the first down. Ellis Hobbs covering on the play. So Donovan McNabb, he has taken a beating for sure over his 11-year career. And today, the rib injury when he went into the end zone for the touchdown. The handoff again to Goodson, and the ball knocked away. Loose ball. And the Eagles are going to get it back. That's the 7th turnover by the Carolina Panthers. And it's Gaither who comes up with the ball. And the Philadelphia Eagles get it back.
And you always want to turn the page on the preseason, as you alluded to earlier, Dick, with the Panthers being 0-4. But right now, what's the first thing a Panthers fan thinks of and the Panthers coaching staff? Mike Goodson had 3 fumbles in the preseason. They've been working on ball security, not evident on that play.
Sheldon Brown with 2 interceptions. Sean McDermott with an A+ rating in his first game as a defensive coordinator. So in Carolina territory, LaShawn McCoy carries it to the 44-yard line, a pickup of 3 on first down. Eagles lead it 38-10 as Basket and Avant come into the game. Panthers with a 70-yard, 8-minute drive, taking a 7-0 lead in the opening drive. But then the defense took over. Victor Abieri recovering a fumble that Trent Cole forced for the first touchdown. Deshaun Jackson with an 85-yard punt return for the second. And then McNabb with a couple of short passes. And the route was on. And McNabb again with a touchdown rushing. Got hurt on that play. Here is Kevin Cobb. And this pass is caught. And it's Hank Basket. And they're short of the first down by a yard. And we have 6 minutes to go in the game. Yes, Westbrook is back. His off-season surgeries. Is there anyone tougher than he is? And of course, Cole, been the spearhead of this defense today. Huh?
Yeah, and brought in from different positions in terms of rushing the passer, not just strictly from a static defensive end position. Asante Samuel covered everyone in sight today, as well as Ellis Hobbs and Sheldon Brown.
And we'll have a false start.
False start, number 76 of the offense. 5-yard penalty, still third down.
Stacey Andrews, the right guard. Andrews played 5 years with the Cincinnati Bengals. He too had off-season surgery. Getting Asante Samuel, who is really the prototype. Lito Shepard left and Asante Samuel came in, and he is really a prototype of what the Eagles have had in the secondary for so many years.
Without a doubt. And remember, the big question mark about getting him was he was coming from zone coverage responsibilities mainly in New England to a lot more man-to-man coverage, and it hasn't affected him one bit. Still been tremendous.
And the Eagles will call a timeout. Kevin Cobb, who came in relief of Donovan McNabb, who was injured in the third quarter. And speaking of Donovan McNabb, let's see if we have an update from Laura Okmin.
Well, I can tell you, when they brought him back onto the field, he's been sitting on the bench pretty much receiving recruiting line coming to him with guys constantly asking how he's doing, and he was telling them he felt all right. Once he took off the jersey, stood up, obviously grimacing and wincing with those ribs. That's just the official words the Eagles are saying, it's ribs. Brought him back in the locker room, but in typical Donovan fashion, cracking jokes and making everybody laugh on the way in.
You know, there's no question, Laura, the positive attitude that this man has had throughout his career has gotten him through a lot of trials and tribulations in Philadelphia. Obviously not an easy place to play for anyone. And, you know, and we talked about last year when he was unceremoniously taken out against the Ravens. But I think his attitude has kept him on top of the game. 3rd down and 6. Kevin Cobb. Can't find a receiver, will take off and gets close. And he may be just a tad short of the 1st down. Damian Lewis had gotten to him after what appears to be a 5-yard gain.
Nice job. Notice how he kept his eyes downfield in case he had a receiver open. And once he determined there was no one, decided to move forward and try and pick up the 1st down. See, he's keeping his eyes downfield, looking for a receiver. Didn't have one, and tried to dive in through a narrow gap to try and find the 1st down line.
So it's 4th down and about a yard. Deshaun Jackson in motion, and Kevin Cobb on 4th down won't get it away. And Lewis Leonard, former Cleveland Brown, on the sack. 8-yard loss, and the Panthers will take over on downs with 4:17 remaining in the game.
Essentially 2 receivers in the pattern. Deshaun Jackson deep. LaShawn McCoy, number 29, out of the backfield, covered well by Charles Godfrey, number 30. And that allowed Lewis Leonard, number 94, to get the sack.
Both of these teams, of course, will resume their schedule next week, and both will be seen on Fox as the Eagles take on the New Orleans Saints, who are leading the Detroit Lions. Last we checked. And you see Atlanta beat Miami 19-7 as Jonathan Stewart is brought down by Darren Howard. So if the Panthers offense needs to get going against an Atlanta team that really made all their draft picks on the defensive side, they have a solid offense to begin with.
But the pickup of Tony Gonzalez was huge on the offensive side.
But coming up next, first things first, Redskins and the Giants. What's been a good day for the NFC East. Moore's pass nearly picked off. And that was Macho Harris, and what he wouldn't give to get an interception in his first NFL game.
First NFL game, starter at the safety position after an All-America career at corner in college.
And Macho Harris, who knows about adversity. I mean, he's really had a rough time. Virginia Tech, his house burned down, his mom passed away, and he was there when the shootings occurred at Virginia Tech. You want to talk about, and he's a delightful, happy guy, Victor Macho Harris. So obviously resilient. 3rd down and 8. Here's Moore's pass, and it is caught by Muhsin Muhammad. Playing like a raw rookie, and let's see if he's hopefully not shaken up there. A gain of 15 yards and not getting up here.
Looked like Quentin Michael made a nice play on the football and put the hit on Muhsin Muhammad on a deep in route. Watch Muhammad as he cuts across, and Michael, number 27, driving on the football, tries to play through, and then on the backside, Akeem Jordan gives him a pop too. That was a nice catch by Muhsin Muhammad, considering he caught a shot on either side. And I think the one from Akeem Jordan was the real finishing shot.
But he's up, and look at the Eagles all around. What a respect that they have for him.
First thing I thought, total respect for really a pro's pro, Muhsin Muhammad.
Here's Asante Samuel. You saw him coming off. He's not even in the game. Came off onto the field. Great respect for Muhammad in his 14th year from Michigan State. And Kenneth Moore coming in at wide receiver. And talk about unsung heroes. How about an injury-riddled offensive line in which they've got to call on some people at the last minute for many of them, especially when Sean Andrews went down, Winston Justice and all the others. First down, pressure on Moore, and the pass intended for Steve Smith. Incomplete. So it's been a long day for Steve Smith, longer day for Jake Delhomme for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. And what we saw there was the third quarterback throwing to the #1 receiver. How often do you think they actually work on that in practice? I mean, the third quarterback almost never takes reps with the first unit. Timing will always be an issue.
Muhsin Muhammad back in the lineup, split to the right. And Moore, with defenders in his face, goes down at the 49-yard line. Clemens, Chris Clemens and Darren Howard both combined. And a 10-yard loss. Only the third sack for the Eagles, but it seems like they've had about 30.
And this one came sans blitz, just a 4-man rush. But because he had nowhere to go with the football due to coverage downfield, Chris Clemens gets there, diving on the top. Looked like Darren Howard, number 90, on the inside. These guys are having a ball. When you're up 38-10, you know the running game's really not a threat.
Well, they haven't had 30 sacks, but they have had 5. To keep the record straight. Under 2.5 to play in the game. Moore's pass, and this is caught by Jonathan Stewart. And Stewart, maybe short of the first down, had to get to the 26-yard line as Harris and Joselio Hansen were downfield.
Clock winding down, close to the 2-minute warning. I don't think they're going to get a playoff before it occurs.
And they may not even want to. And there it is, the 2-minute warning. A rout for the Eagles on opening day. One of the great owners in the National Football League, Jeff Lurie, who knows how to own, and has let Andy Reid run the football. Joe Banner is the president of the team, and Joe Banner said this is the best talent the Eagles have ever had. No one's arguing with it right now. 4th down and 1. And again, the pressure, the pass caught by Steve Smith and out of bounds, but the first down inside the 20-yard line. The first play inside 2 minutes here in the 4th.
I know one person who would want to argue with him. Chuck Bednarik. Concrete Charlie.
Oh, yeah.
He'd show up. Who are you talking about?
Well, then you got to mention Pete Pihos and all the rest of those old Eagles.
Tommy McDonald.
See, I don't go as far back as Steve Van Buren and the others. First down on the 18 for the Panthers. And Moore's pass, good catch by Williams. And he'll go out of bounds. And Williams out of bounds at the 12 by Macho Harris. So they get 9 and then 5 yards on successive plays. There you see New Orleans leading Detroit 45-27 in the 4th quarter. Colts a tough one against Jacksonville, but they held on, and Falcons over the Miami Dolphins. And John Fox says bring on next week. Here's Moore's pass, and it's caught by DeAngelo Williams. And for those of you in the home markets of our late games, in a moment you will be leaving this game and we will be switching you to the start of your game. Meanwhile, 1.5 minutes to go in this one. And the Eagles in front of the Panthers 38-10. JJ, memory for the late Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, who died of cancer right before camp began. And there is the fade pattern, and it was intended for Kenneth Moore, incomplete. Well, we got 2 solid running backs. Clinton Portis for the Redskins and Brandon Jacobs for the Giants featured in the next game, and I think they'll be heavily used, Charles.
I don't think there's any doubt. Brandon Jacobs getting help from Ahmad Bradshaw, who moves into the number 2 running back role for the Giants.
Derek Ward, of course, no longer there. They had
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Right, three solid backs, but Ward's not there. 2nd down and goal. There's DeAngelo Williams, and he is stopped at the 2. Williams scored the only touchdown of the day for the Panthers, an 11-yard run on the opening drive. And a timeout called by Carolina. So here the quarterback story. And that's what the Eagles have done to each of these 3 quarterbacks. Jake Delhomme threw 4 picks and fumbled. Josh McCown completed only 1 for measly yards, and Matt Moore has thrown an interception. They've been 7 hits, 5 sacks, and the beat goes on. So Sean McDermott, and you got to think he was feeling butterflies coming into this game. Had to.
Naturally. You know, first time truly as the defensive coordinator. Preseason's over. It now matters. But I'm telling you, you've been talking about Jim Johnson looking from above. No smile from him if the Panthers get in the end zone. He doesn't want to give an inch no matter what the situation.
And a timeout called this time by the Eagles. So John Fox, who has slimmed down considerably, and he tells us, you know, a lot of fruit, but anything ending in berry is good. Anything not, you don't want to have.
Not quite as good. Well, what we've seen, it works.
Yeah. What did you have for breakfast today?
I had a lot of things that ended in berry.
Okay. So John Fox, I think the one thing you want to do, because the thing about Jake Delhomme is that he's the unquestioned leader of this team, and he has had 2 rough outings in his last 2 appearances.
They've got to make him feel confident again somehow. You know, he has to know that he's the guy.
No one needs a big game more than Jake Delhomme right now. 51 seconds to go, and here is D'Angelo Williams getting to the goal line. Did not get in. And it was Akeem Jordan. Quietly has had a solid game. I would give kudos to the entire Eagle defense, whether it's a defensive back or a lineman or the linebackers. They've all done it. And the 35-year-old Sean McDermott, well done.
Without a doubt. Remember, all 3 levels of that defense have made big plays today.
And the first team is coming onto the field right now. And Trent Cole, who's had an impact, and this is goal line defense. So you know what? That's a vestige of Jim Johnson.
Hey, they don't want to give up anything.
No, 38-10.
You're calling timeouts to try and score, make yourselves feel better. That's what they're saying to the Panthers. Hold on a second. We don't want to give that to you. Not going to make it easy.
You know, if you want to contend for a division title or championship, this is the way to play.
And the mentality is these guys want to go back in the game.
4th down and goal with 40 seconds to remain. Here is Williams. He's not going to make it. And that won't excite the crowd, but look at the guys in green jerseys as Jaquay Parker leading the way, and the Eagles have held. And look at the response they'll get from McDermott as they leave the field.
On goal line, it's always the surge from the defensive line that tells you whether or not you have a chance. And you see how they reestablished the line of scrimmage a yard behind where the ball was snapped? Look at Patterson, 98. Just blows things up in the backfield, and then you've got everyone involved on the tackle. Hey, those guys wanted to go back in. They didn't want to give up a touchdown. And now, my friend Dick Stockton, Jim Johnson can smile.
And so can his protege. He was taught well. 34 seconds remaining. Handshakes all around. And for the Eagle defense, 5 sacks against 3 quarterbacks, 5 interceptions, allowing only 10 points, 169 yards. And Andy Reid shakes hands with John Fox. So the Eagles spot the Panthers 7 points and go on and rout Carolina 38-10. Going home to play New Orleans next week. And the Panthers want to clean things up when they play Atlanta on the road next week. So for Charles Davis and Laura Okmin, Dick Stockton saying so long. 38-10 the final score. The Eagles win it. So stay tuned now for the second game of the doubleheader between the Redskins and the Giants right after these messages.